Welcome to another round of Charleston Battery Weekly here with OSG Sports and SDH Networks. It's playoff time. One playoff game down, the next one coming up around the corner against a very familiar opponent. Mike Kelleher is joining us for his weekly edition of Special K, and the show's brought to you by the letter K. Joe Kuzminsky, guy between the sticks, will be in the player spotlight this week as everybody gets ready for Charleston to take on Tampa Bay again. So coming up around the corner, Mike Kelleher with his special round of Special K. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back, Charleston Battery Weekly. Time for our weekly dose of Special K. So, Mike, how much driven crazy were you? I was trying to figure out the phraseology here. How much were you driven crazy by a game that went longer than 90 minutes?
I don't know if driven crazy is the right one, but no, I was there, as you know, and it was nice to you want to. It was nice. The end result was obviously good, and it was all's well that ends well, I guess. It was nice to be still in the competition come Monday morning.
All right, so let me just ask you this when it comes to in general. Games tied after 90 minutes. Would you rather play the extra 30 and then go to penalties, or would you just rather go to penalties and move on?
Having won it, I'd rather play the extra 30. You're asking me after the event. I think you'd rather get it settled before penalties, I think is the old adage. And it really is a lottery when you get to penalties. So to get the game finished on the pitch, even if it was 120 minutes rather than 90, was better, I think, than going to penalties. I think most people would agree with that.
When you go that extra 30 minutes, I mean, there's that notion of trying to be too careful, not wanting to make a mistake that's amplified because of what can happen. When you look at players in general, what's it like to see their brains work to try to deal with that, trying to work both sides of the street where you want to try to come up with something that will create a result in the positive, but you are trying to be extra careful at the same time because you don't want that result to be gone against you as opposed to for you?
I think you don't want, I suppose it's defenders and attackers, isn't it? You don't want to be the one that gives the ball away that results in you going out of the competition. You want to be the one that maybe is the hero. I think, who's the bolder player. I think fatigue takes its toll as well. With you played the 90 minutes, you now, there's more chances of, as we all know, of making a mistake when fatigue kicks in. So it is a game. It is a mind game. Psychology plays a big role in it, and you see that all around the world. And again, fortunately, we're the ones that went through.
And at the same time, though, it's a testament to the physios, to sports science, to all that investment that you've made during the year and figuring out, okay, who can give me what and how much you can do that. And at the same time, on the field, it's a testament to the depth and all of that conditioning and all of those different little X factors that can give you that result in 120 minutes.
Yeah, lots of preparation has gone into getting this far, and we think back to think back to a year ago when we were in the playoffs. We're in the play-in round, as was in the USL. Then we had to go to Ottawa. We got the short straw, and then we had to go on to Nashville after that, who arguably one of the strongest teams in the league at the time. And we were fortunate that it was the 3-hour journey. It was a clear week's run up to the game, and so we were prepared. Whatever was going to be thrown at us.
And at the same time, this is a game that started an hour late because, well, you're in the summertime and you're in the South. Yeah. And you have all of that momentum that you gather with practice and you're getting ready. And then all of a sudden it just slams to a stop. And all of that work, you have to manage that as well as a part of this whole thing, because you don't want to get too amped up and then in that delay completely crash out and then be ready to have to play a little later on.
No, that's a fair point, John. And being there on Saturday, we were getting the back and forth from the locker room area. I wasn't even sure we were going to play. I mean, the amount of rain that came down in Charlotte, the pitch when we got there, we set off and we were nearby in the hotel, myself and some of the owners. We were getting message the game was going to be delayed. In fact, when we set off, it was an hour delay, I think. Or I don't think there was even a time on it, and we knew there was more rain coming. So, if you put a player into that situation, they want to play. They want to get the game. They're ready. They're prepared. They want to play. And we went through many of these things last season with the Battery, where we had rain delay after rain delay and different other things. And it is a tough scenario. But again, credit to our players to come through it and come through with the win.
Because that kind of an environment, you get back out there and it's rain and it's all these other things and it's sloshy fields and it's a sloppy pitch and you're kind of at the mercy of the drainage and all of these different elements where mistakes are amplified because of Mother Nature. Yeah, no, it's another thing to add to it. But credit to Charlotte, the pitch actually played really well. It looked a lot better as the game went on. There were some areas, and the referee I was concerned about some of the areas. You want the ball to roll full circumference, and it wasn't doing that in a couple of areas. That was the delay, seeing if the pitch was going to drain, and it did drain really well. And I don't think it had an effect on the game in the end. But those are things certainly as you're warming up, as you're getting out there, that you've got to be concerned about. Nick Daly gets a goal in the 3rd minute. That's about as good a start as you could possibly have. His 6th of the year, 3rd fastest goal in championship playoff history. Yeah, you want, it's funny again. It was almost too soon, because you then spend the rest, unless you can back it up with 2 or 3 beyond that, you spend the game thinking, you almost allow them back into the game. They start thinking, they've got a chance. And, it's any time's a good time to score a goal. It's not that you don't want to score goals, but he took it well. And like I said, it made it for a long period between them equalising when, we weren't sure how it was going to go. And that was in the 64th, and it was a rebound, flicking it just past Joe Kuzminsky. Yeah. And then it takes you forever to get Arthur's game winner. What's it like to see the reaction on the bench? And I know that you're probably up out of your seat with the owners. Yeah. You're kind of sitting there and you're hunched up and you're up against the glass or whatever. To have that kind of a moment, what was that like with you where you were sitting to see that moment happen? No, it was. In fact, it was right in front of us. We was behind the goal where he scores. We're up a little high. We weren't behind a glass, but you can probably hear us if you play it back. But no, great relief. A relief all round, isn't it? It's you want to be the team that scores. There was still, I think, 20 minutes to play, maybe around about that. I know it was obviously the first period of extra time, but it's a huge relief. You don't, having gone 1-0 up and led for, I think you just said about 60 minutes or so. Then you're not sure where the game's going to go after that. Will the pendulum swing back in your favour? And obviously it did. And it was a huge relief to get the goal. And then you look at the brackets. Everybody's looking at the brackets when the whole championship playoff structure started, and you knew it was going to be circling back with familiar dance partners. And it's now The fifth time this year.
Yeah.
Charleston and Tampa Bay are going to go at each other this weekend.
Yeah, well, at least we know the routine. We know where we're going. We know where we're staying. It's familiarity. I think it's very difficult to say, well, Charleston have won the last three. They're obviously going to be favourites. I think this is a unique game in its own right. Both very good teams. Tampa have won the group. And I think it'll be a good game Saturday night. As the last four have been, I think it can go either way. So, exciting. This is the one that means everything. This is the one that matters. It doesn't. If we beat them 3 times, it won't matter if we don't beat them on Saturday.
When you're going up against a team in a playoff structure, and I know that we've talked about this in the sense of familiarity in a group stage, but now that you're in knockouts, is the philosophy even any different when you're getting into a knockout stage? Does the playbook get a little smaller? Does the roster substitution thoughts get any smaller? What's the mindset and approach for a team in a knockout stage versus going up against a team in a group stage?
Yeah, look, I think those are questions for Mike Anhauser more than me. But if I'm going to dodge a question like that, but you're right. Look, I think I've said to you week in, week out. I think we've got a man who's been there and done it, and if anyone knows to handle a team going into the playoff situation, it's Mike. How do we go? I think one of the things we noticed and we commented on was the you knew something was on the line last Saturday. It was obviously tackles are going in harder. It was a bit more, I suppose, chippier is not a great word, but I think you understand what I mean. It was more of a physical game than probably we've seen in the past. Now, I expect much the same Tampa and Charleston coming into this Saturday. So, he's going to want to manage players and being, anxiety or being too, going into too hard into challenge, being too wound up to play. We want players to play relaxed. So I think there'll be that piece comes into it. Substitution, when to bring them in. It's, you want to win the game. At the end of the day, there has to be a winner. Whether it's on penalties, extra time, or in 90 minutes, it's Mike's role and job to manage the players and manage the game. So it will certainly be up to the task.
What's it like to see playoff Mike Anhauser against regular season Mike Anhauser? What's it like to see the coach in those different aspects?
It's not too different, I don't think. He's been there many times. It's a familiar road, and he's very, from what I've seen. I was there, just briefly this morning at training, and seemed very relaxed. And that's how you want the team, the coaches, the players to be. I'm sure everyone knows at the back of their mind, at some point the season's going to come to the end, and you're hoping it's not just yet. But no, the players I think are in good shape, and because of the coaching staff that are around, the very experienced coaches, they know Charleston battery inside out, the three of them, and you had the physio to that as well. There's some experienced people around the players. So no, I think he's relaxed and ready to go.
Saturday night, it's going up against Tampa Bay. Sunday morning at 11:30, it's Spurs and West Ham. What do you think?
Always a crunch game. Tottenham. I went to school in an area that was mostly Tottenham fans, and I was the West Ham season ticket holders. This is always one I want to win, as do many West Ham fans. So who knows after the international week, and we talked about the results of, you look at Tottenham when they beat Manchester United 6-1 before the international break. So I'm sure it's going to be a good game, and I never like to predict that one, but let's see where we're at and whether or not I want to watch the end of it or not.
After this segment's over, we go to commercial, come back. Joe Kuzminsky's player spotlight this week. When I mention Joe Kuzminsky, what comes to mind?
Stability at the back, no doubt. You look at Joe coming back into the team. I think it will show. He came back from the spell in Israel, and immediately there was the communication from the back. We hear more at games now because of the less fans we have. But you could hear him from day one, instructing the back four, instructing the midfielders in front of him where he wanted them, even if the ball was down the other pitch. So confidence, stability, communication. I think he's done incredibly well this season. So no, but interesting to see what he has to say.
We will catch up with him coming up just around the corner. As always, Mike, thanks for hanging out with us for your weekly visit with Special K, and good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, John. Much appreciated.
When we come back, as promised, Joe Kuzminsky, Player Spotlight, OSG Sports, SDH Networks will be right back after this.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back, Charleston Battery Weekly Player Spotlight. Time to catch up with the guy between the sticks, Joe Kuzminsky. Joe, have you officially recovered from the extra 30 minutes from last weekend yet?
Yeah. Obviously, after a win, it helps the recovery a lot more. So I'm feeling ready and excited for this upcoming weekend.
And we'll get into Tampa Bay in just a little bit, but let's get into the Charlotte match. And how nerve-wracking is it knowing that you prepare, you're ready to go, everything's off and running, but then Mother Nature, who is still undefeated last time I checked, basically wags her finger at you and says, not yet, you're going to stay in for an extra hour?
It is tough, but we just always try to stay loose in the locker room, keep it fun, and the other team is going through the same thing. So at the end of the day, it's about who's going to still come out and be ready and focused, no matter when the game starts. So, I think that we did a pretty good job of staying focused and being prepared for the match at hand.
What was study hall like getting ready for Charlotte? I know that it's a derby in one aspect, but it's the postseason in another aspect, and traditionally those things kind of go against each other. What was study hall like getting ready for Charlotte? Obviously, Dane Kelly, you have to kind of keep an eye on him as a starting point.
Yeah, so obviously he was the big talking point. We know he can score goals, left foot, right foot, with his head anywhere. He's proven himself in the league, and obviously we were aware of his threat. And the rest of the team, we knew it was going to just be a battle all over the pitch. Like you said, it's a derby match. It is playoffs, and it was the first playoffs they've hosted in a while, so you knew that they were going to be up for it. But study hall, we always try to focus on ourselves and make sure that we're prepared and we're doing everything that we can possibly do to win the game. And so I think we came out strong and caught them early, and then the game swung back and forth from there.
When you go out, and now let me ask you this, and this is I'm going to kind of go nerd here for a second.
Okay.
How different was the pitch when you were warming up versus when you went back out after the rain delay? I know that according to, I was talking to Mike Kelleher in the previous segment, and he said drainage was pretty good and, it responded really well. But how different is it to be preparing on one pitch and then come out and have it impacted by weather the way that it was?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, Mother Nature always wins. So, you can never be fully prepared, but just making sure you're getting out there and reading what the grass is doing. Dusty walked the field a decent amount and kind of pointed out areas that I needed to be careful about. But, as you get the feel of the pitch and how fast that ball is moving, then you kind of just settle yourself down and get into the game. And like, yes, you have to subconsciously think about hitting the ball maybe a little bit firmer so it doesn't get stuck in a water puddle or whatnot. But, I think overall that it drained really well, and it played for a nice physical battle. And I think at the end of the day, we proved ourselves and came out on top.
You get a goal a couple minutes in, and then is there such a thing as scoring too soon? Because then you know that you've got that lead, and it's like the third minute, and you're already up 1-0, but then you're having to kind of maintain this idea of, oh, we're already up a goal. We don't have to chase anything. But is there such a thing as things happening too soon?
No, it's never a bad thing to get a goal early. It does change the game dynamic, though, because obviously, they had a game plan, and when we come in and score in the first, second, third minute, then they're going to have to get after the game a little bit more, and we might have to be a little bit more defensive than we liked. But we still try to go out there and create chances and play the way we like to play, possess the ball. Obviously, it is playoffs, so that 1-0 lead is always lingering more, and you always want to keep that. So we probably played a little bit more defensive than we would have normally, but I think I think getting a goal early is always a good thing, and you can kind of relax and settle into the game.
Then 60 minutes later, Charlotte scores, and you're tied at 1s. When it comes to playing that extra 30 after 90, I mean, that to me, as just somebody who covers and really hasn't played the sport for probably 35 years, short of summer camps and things like that, I mean, it seems like there's an extra element to that 30 minutes. It's like you think you're done, but then you're not done, and then you've got to get back out there and be ready for another 30. What is that extra 30 minutes like for you when you're between the sticks?
A lot of my job is yelling at the players, so that always stays the same. I think with extra 30 minutes, guys, obviously the fatigue is higher, so you have to try and keep them focused more. So I think that's like the biggest thing for me is just making sure guys are still doing what they were doing the whole game, making sure that they're still staying on top of things and not letting the little things slide by. So obviously, like I said, the fatigue factor is huge, especially for the field players, because that's another, third of the game that they have to run. But it definitely opens up, and it's about trying to keep your composure and keep everyone calm and making sure we're doing everything right.
Joe Kuzminsky, keeper for the Battery, hanging out with us here in the Player Spotlight. Have you ever lost your voice in an extra 30 minutes? Have you ever shouted so much that you lost your voice and couldn't communicate?
I have lost my voice after games before. I don't know if it's been playoffs or what, but
in a game, like late in the game, have you yelled so much in the first, say, 65 or 70 minutes that you lose your voice for the final 15 or 20?
It definitely gets more raspy. Probably harder to hear me, but yes, I have.
Because as I get into all these nerd topics, and it's like, okay, so when you're communicating so much, do you communicate too much to where you lose your voice, and then it turns into a bit of an adventure to communicate? And that's why I wanted to ask that question. So chalk that up as another silly question from John. Joe.
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay. We've heard of them.
Yeah.
They exist. And it's the 5th time this year that Charleston and Tampa Bay are going at it. And I know that in group play, it's kind of like group stage World Cup kind of a thing. And now you're in the knockouts, and you're having to face them for the 5th time this season as a club. I don't want to say, what's the old saying, familiarity breeds contempt, but I would think that there aren't any secrets going up against Tampa Bay right now, or are there?
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, this year in general, you don't often play teams 4 times, but obviously we know them. We know who they have on who they have on the field. I think that they might change things and try and press and maybe change the lineup a little bit more. We've beaten them 3 times in a row now. And I wouldn't say like we have their number, but I think that we need to go out and do the same thing that we've been doing and put pressure on their back 3 and, make them play out of the back if that's what they want to do. And I think defensively that we know who they have, and we know we need to be extra on our game for this match. And like you said, the group play is over. Like that's no nowhere near what the playoff match is going to be. I think it's going to be a completely different game. I think the intensity is going to be very high. I think it's going to be a very physical battle, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to be who wants it more.
What's it been like, last question for you, and thanks for hanging out. What's it been like to see fans trickling back in at Patriots Point? And I know that, and I ask this because we both know what the fans mean there in Charleston. And obviously early on, they weren't allowed to be in the building, and it's a new building, a new approach. It's not at MUSC Health anymore. It's at Patriots Point. It's a new identity and a new part of the fabric of the team. But now as the season has gone along, they've been able to trickle back in. It started with friends and family, and now you're getting supporters and things like that back in. What's it been like to see that element back introduced into the games?
It's really exciting. Like you said, we've moved facilities, we've rebranded. There's been a lot of change this year, and you never know how the response is going to be like within the community. But Rob and Mike Kelleher have done really good jobs about getting us out in the community, and I think it shows that because there's a lot of hype around us now, I think, and I think there's people that really want to come to the game. So it is exciting, and having fans like slowly come back into the games just make them way more enjoyable. I mean, we play for the fans. We don't play to play in empty stadiums. So it's really exciting, and they're doing a lot of really cool things down here, and I think it's going to be a very exciting time for the club moving forward. So I can't wait to, be post-COVID and have the stadium filled out. I think that'll be really, really cool.
As along with everyone else, definitely. Well, Joe, as always, thanks for hanging out with us here on the Weekly. It's great to catch up, and especially when we're talking postseason soccer in the
Absolutely.
So, thanks for hanging out with us again. Good luck this weekend for the 5th time this season playing the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We'll be keeping an eye, and we'll catch up with you down the road.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
When we come back, time to put a bow in another show. It is Charleston Battery Weekly. OSG Sports, SDH Networks will be right back after this.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Time to put a bow in yet another show for Charleston Battery Weekly. As always, it's good to catch up as this show is brought to you by the letter K, Joe Kuzminsky, and the player spotlight Mike Kelleher for his visit. Our special dose of Special K every single week. Reminder, ESPN Plus, Saturday night, 7:30, Tampa Bay and Charleston. The 5th time that these two teams have met this season, and this one is to advance out of the low right-hand bracket as you fill them out here in the USL Championship playoffs. Thanks to all of you guys for being a part of this every single week as we take a peek at everything going on with the Charleston Battery. Go to charlestonbattery.com for all the news and notes that you need for everything that is going on in and around the club. For Mike, for Joe, I'm just John. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games on ESPN Plus this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.